The Switch has two sides, a home console and a portable handheld. Pop a game in at home and take it with you when you leave. The idea that's resonated throughout the world. Finally, somebody nailed the idea. It's been attempted so many times, but with little success. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Switch is amazing. But there's another side to the Switch, an ultra sleek solid body version, one that's solely focused on being a handheld. Recently, there's been a shortage of Switch consoles available. I have noticed that some stores have the 2DS XL console, which I think is a great option if you don't already own one, but there aren't any traditional Switches left to buy. Those who've waited to get their hands on one will have to wait a little longer, but I have seen some stores with the Switch Lite console available. As an owner of both versions, I wanted to give a little insight as to why I have both, and if the Switch Lite is something that you should invest in if you can't find a traditional Switch. When I first heard of the Switch Lite, I was taken back a little bit. Why would Nintendo make a version of their home console that doesn't perform its namesake? Isn't that the whole reason it's been mega successful? So you can play your home console games on the go? I know that's the reason I drank the Kool-Aid and pre-ordered one before the launch date. Keep in mind, I've traveled across the United States for most of my career. Having a portable gaming machine is a must for those long flights and stays at the airport. Heaven knows I'm not doing work while I'm in the air. If I'm not physically on the planet, I draw the line at doing my earthly duties. I reserve this time to get some gaming in. Since 2012, I began taking a 3DS with me. It's lightweight, ultra compact, and most importantly, has a gigantic library of good games. The 3DS and I get along great. I'm one of the very few that actually uses the 3D effect. Call me crazy, but I do think it enhances the gameplay. I've been gaming on a 3DS for 7 years, and you know what? I still play on it. Everything on it's solid, and I don't worry about messing up any of the buttons or screens because it folds up and protects those valuable parts. I picked up my Switch on launch night. The line I was in was long, but the line for the people that didn't pre-order it was even longer. I remember making plans for my next cross-country trip when I was in that line. I was so excited to take my new console with me and have an even better gaming experience while I was in the air. The Switch trailer even promised it with the guy on the airplane. I did indeed take it with me, and I loved it. I was playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 7 miles above the Earth. What wasn't there to love about it? Because I was so anxious to play it, I decided to fire it up while I was waiting for my flight to board. Well, because of this, my battery crapped out before the midway point of the flight. I knew the battery life wasn't nearly as good as the 3DS's, but dang, it died fast. I brought an external battery with me, but I had to wait for it to charge. I thought ahead and brought my 3DS XL, and I'm glad I did, because I would have been stuck having to do work during that flight. On the return trip, I decided to only play it while I was in the air, and that seemed to work out great. I had plenty of battery life to go around. Also, for a handheld, it's actually kind of big. I love the larger screen. Playing games on a bigger display is awesome, but compared to my past Nintendo handhelds, this thing is huge. Sure, the 3DS XL is quite large, but it can fold up so it doesn't take up so much space. And it just seems a little big on an airplane. Another thing I found a little awkward were the Joy-Cons. I actually like them, they're comfortable to use and very responsive, but they detach, and I've accidentally detached them while I've been playing. It's very rare that it happens. It's weird because I usually have my fingers up on the shoulder buttons, but there are times where I've adjusted my hands and pushed the buttons on the back. Not a huge deal, but it's happened. I know why they're detachable, but for me, these things never leave the console. I use the Pro Controller. It's better and has a longer battery life. I wish there was an option to have a full-size Switch with the Joy-Cons permanently fused to the system. On another note, my Joy-Cons never developed a drift. They work just as good now as the day I bought them. After that trip, I was a little hesitant to use it as a dedicated handheld. I mean, if I'm going to be using it away from a power source, I'd like it to last more than a few hours. My 3DS's battery lasts way longer. Well, I think somebody heard me ranting because I got my wish. Kind of. The Switch Lite was announced and then released. At first, I thought it was a little strange. It's smaller, doesn't have HD rumble, and the biggest downside, it can't be docked to output video to a TV. There are major changes to this console. Then I saw the price point and thought it was fair for the compromises that were made on it. The more I thought about the system, the more I was selling myself on it. Though I was having a hard time justifying having two systems. I already had a Switch that could be used as a handheld. What would I do with two of them? Well, I got one as a gift and I was thrilled to give it a spin. I cracked open the box and held it in my hands. It feels right. This is a Nintendo handheld. The Switch Lite's refined design is one of the best feeling handhelds I've ever used. Better than any Game Boy, DS, or 3DS system. Even better than the original Game Boy Advance. It has a smaller form factor than the original, which in my opinion is a better size for a handheld. It's perfect for packing around in a carry-on. Also, it doesn't feel like I'm holding an iPad mini to play my games. The Joy-Cons have also been included in the body, and the left one has a proper D-pad. Even if it's placed quite low, at least it's not those 4 buttons. I actually use it quite a bit on the classic games that are offered with the Switch's online service. I also don't really miss the rumble too much. Yeah, rumble does enhance games, but I'm okay with it not being there when I'm on the go. Everything around me is distracting anyway, so not having it is just fine. I play it around the house when I need a small game fix. My original Switch is usually docked to my TV, and I use the Switch Lite as the portable version. Switching games back and forth also isn't as bad as most people on the internet think. If you buy physical games, it's actually quite easy. You can transfer over the saves, which is kind of a pain, but I don't usually do that anyway. I kind of like the challenge of starting a new game. There's one thing I don't like about using two systems. If you go with the digital games, you have to check in to play them. I really don't like this about the whole setup for the Switch. If I buy a game, I should have access to it. If I bought 2 Switch consoles, those games should be on both. I just invested double the money most people will spend into the company. Why would I be punished for doing it? It's easy to check in, but I loathe having to confirm that I can play it. This also applies to the Switch's online service NES and SNES games. I missed out on playing those retro games on one of my trips and it really bothered me. I made a video with that story. I've placed a link in the description if you want to hear more about my experience with the checking in process. The Switch Lite is more compact, comfortable, plays almost every Switch game, has a better battery life, and is all around a better handheld than the original Switch. Though the newest revision of the bigger Switch has a better battery life all around, so if you can get your hands on that, maybe that's the direction you want to go. But if you're getting an older launch Switch, that battery is pretty poor. The design is sleek and has been tailor-made to be a dedicated handheld. Even the bezel is better in my opinion. It's not glossy all the way around it. I really like it. I think it's fantastic for $200. Again, comparing it to the 3DS, the new 3DS XL was $200. The same price as a console that only plays portable games. That means if you ever get a Switch that can connect to the TV, those same games will work on your TV. And we all know that these consoles will come down in price eventually. They always do around the launch of a new system. I got a second Xbox 360 brand new at a store for $50 when the Xbox One launched. Look at the new 2DS XL right now. You can buy one of those for $100 with a game brand new. So is the Switch Lite worth it right now when you can't get your hands on a larger system? Absolutely. If you want to play Switch games right now, and this is the only option you have, I say go for it. We don't know when stores will restock the original Switch, and it's not worth overpaying for one from third-party websites or even classifieds. Seriously, people are trying to sell their Switches on classifieds for way more than they're worth, especially for used systems. The Switch is worth $300 new. Definitely not worth that for a used one. If you run across a Switch Lite in the store, I say go for it. I play my Switch Lite way more than my original Switch. I'm happy that I have the original Switch because I can capture footage and play it on the TV, which I'm all about on the weekend. But for quiet play sessions before I go to bed, the Switch Lite is my choice. It's the only one I take on any trip I go on. though I haven't traveled in quite a while thanks to the worldwide pandemic. The Switch Lite is a fantastic gaming system all the way around. It gives you the ability to play some of the best games ever made at a price point that's very affordable. With the small adjustments made to the original design, making it centered around only portable gaming, Nintendo has given us a gaming machine accessible to more people. The Switch has two sides, a home console and a portable handheld, the idea that's resonated throughout the world. Now, through redesigns and broadening its audience, we have an ultra-sleek solid-body version, one that's solely focused on being a handheld. And I recommend it 100%.